Today I'm going to talk about this RC car. Let's take a quick look. Alright, did you guys catch that? I slipped in the photo, which is this one here. It's an iconic, legendary Porsche 917. It's an exact copy, and even down to the details of the rear end. I'm going to let James May talk about this Porsche.
Porsche has also made some rather remarkable cars.
Absolutely. There was the 911. There was another sort of 911. There was a slightly different 911 that was green.
Yes, I know. But this year marks the 50th anniversary of what I think must be the greatest Porsche of them all.
Is it a 911?
No. It's called the Porsche 917. And even if you have no interest in motorsport, you'll most likely recognize this machine, because it's quite possibly the most iconic racing car ever created. Now today, Porsche is the most successful car maker ever to race at Le Mans. They have 19 victories to their name. But this is the car that started it all. This is the car that gave them that all-important first win. Now, obviously, with a pedigree like that, it's quite valuable, around £14 million. The thing you need to know is that although the 917 looks like a big, wide car, actually, it isn't.
Ow.
I'm in. God, it's tiny. Astonishing. Imagine this for a 24-hour race. Even though it's a 50-year-old car, the 917 is fast by the standards of any decade. 0 to 60, 2.7 seconds. Top speed, 224 miles an hour. And it was built without compromise, using the absolute bare minimum of materials. The 5-litre 12-cylinder engine produces 621 horsepower, which is modest by the standards of today's road-going hypercars. But this thing weighs just 800 kilograms. As a result, the power to weight is off the scale. The story of its birth starts in 1968, when the governing body for sports car racing, alarmed that the top-end unregulated prototype cars were becoming too fast, too expensive and too dangerous, decreed that such machines should have engines no larger than 3 litres. However, the governing body also said that if you could build 25 road-going versions of your racing car, that engine limit would be raised to 5 litres. Although secretly they knew that no small sports car manufacturer could actually afford to do that. They didn't think there'd be any takers. What they hadn't reckoned on was Porsche's head of motorsport, Ferdinand Piëch. Back then, Porsche was a tiny, cash-starved outfit, nothing like the prosperous company we know today. But Piëch was so consumed with scoring an outright win at Le Mans that he decided he was going to build those 25 cars, even though the next Le Mans was only a few months away. So everybody, and I do mean everybody, the accountants, managers, office juniors, secretaries, they were all hauled away from their desks to go down to the production line and work on getting those cars ready. They actually became known as the secretary cars. The ragtag Porsche team just made the deadline, and the motorsport inspectors gave the road cars the sign-off, presumably not inspecting them too closely, or they would have noticed that most of them had truck axles. With the green light given for Porsche to enter the Le Mans race, Piëch got to work getting some cars ready in time. Now, on the plus side, they were blindingly fast. One car clocked 238 on the Mulsanne straight. On the downside, though, they were terrifyingly unstable and virtually undrivable. The drivers simply didn't know what the car was going to do next. There was so much chassis flex that the gear lever would move around all over the place. They'd make a gear change, put their hand there the next time, and it'd be somewhere else. Piech hoped for a big win at the 1969 Le Mans race, but it was a disaster. One of the privately entered cars crashed on lap 1, killing its driver. The others broke down as the race wore on, until just one remained, driven by this man, British driver Dickie Attwood.
Difficult would be putting it mildly. Life-threatening could be another one.
Right.
It was a monster. It was made for speed, like a bullet to go through the air, but there wasn't enough pressure on the bodywork to keep it on the ground. And so the faster you went, the more unstable it was. It was so horrendous, I was waiting, hopefully, that the car would break. And eventually it did. But it was 21 hours before it broke. We were 6 laps in the lead, so we hadn't got far to go. But I was happy the car broke.
Undeterred, Porsche hired British race engineer John Wyer, who'd helped to develop the Ford GT40, to sort out the 917's evil handling. And he cracked the problem, with a little help from Mother Nature. After one really long test session, Wyer and his drivers noticed that although the front of the car was absolutely plastered in dead bugs, there were none here on the rear wing, which must have meant the air wasn't flowing over it, and it wasn't producing any downforce, and it wasn't pressing the car down into the track. Having reworked the aerodynamics of their problem child, Porsche arrived at the 1970 Le Mans race with renewed hope, and Dickie Attwood once more at the wheel. During the race, the 917s were blisteringly fast, as ever. But this time, mercifully, they were much more stable. And although heavy rain claimed victim after victim, Attwood and the 917 took the checkered flag and gave Porsche their first ever outright win at Le Mans. It was a win they badly needed because they had, quite literally, gambled the company on it. But it's also true to say that this car nearly broke Porsche as well, didn't it? Because they were a very small company.
It did. Again, it was Ferdinand Piech, and he was a guy who was quite extreme. He was so enthused to do what he's done that nearly broke the company. It did. Yeah, the racing program nearly destroyed Porsche.
From then on, there was no stopping the 917, as it set about building its own legend. The following year at Le Mans, on the way to another crushing victory, it would go through the speed traps at over 241 miles an hour, a record that stood for more than 20 years. And in that same race, it was so fast it would cover a total of 3,315 miles, a distance record that would stand until 2010. And if that wasn't enough, Hollywood's greatest petrolhead, Steve McQueen, came to Le Mans and made the 917 a screen icon.
So that's the history. I'm guessing where this RC car is coming from. So let's go back and talk about the RC car. First of all, this car is advertised as a street basher or a high-speed car. It can surely run on tracks, but not for racing. It simply lacked the adjustability for the suspension. Your first decision is going to be a metal chassis or the carbon fiber. The metal chassis looks really good. I'm probably going to make a carbon fiber size skirt for it. Split transmission is only available on the carbon chassis. All other options is just a straight drive shaft from front to rear. Metal chassis come with nylon spur gear, while the carbon fiber comes with aluminum. The diff is supposed to be a 1/8 scale used on this 110 scale, so only time will tell how well it holds up. Only top of the line version get this chassis fan. I highly recommend this fan if you're gonna be painting your own body as a true Porsche. Okay, let's talk about the concern I have. Is the chassis gonna hold up at high speed? Will it have the same problem as the original Porsche? I'm sure we'll find out soon enough from other YouTubers. Second concern is there is no slipper clutch nor central differential. Third concern is the tires. It will not hold up to the speed it is advertised, whether you choose the plastic or the aluminum wheel. Well, lastly, I noticed today the diff oil is no longer included in the purchase. I don't know, did I just missed it? You tell me. Anyway, overall, just look at the chart before you make the purchase and take screenshot of what you're getting. The pre-sale price on this car is actually on par with all these other 110 scale on-road car or drift cars. MSRP is just way overpriced. The only reason I'm thinking of buying this is because of the body, which is the Porsche 917. Please do comment below and start a conversation.